So it all started with TV series, right? We started talking about TV series and soap operas on, some of our recommended shows and stuff. Valeria also shared with us this site, which is impressive. It has got some really cool stuff there. As I think I've said before, I've got Netflix and Disney Plus. I pay Netflix. Disney Plus is just because a cousin of mine is sharing with me that account. I don't like it that much, but I've got access to those services. In these website that Valeria shared with us, we've got pretty much everything with very good quality and subtitles. So that was really cool, and that's how it started. Then we started talking a little bit about the actual title of the lesson, which has to do with power and money. We were introduced to this concept of the superclass and who they are and why they're powerful. We explore some really interesting vocabulary there, which is related to that. And then we finish basically somehow analyzing from a slightly different perspective this topic of relative clauses. This is something that we had studied before, but we hadn't had a look at this classification we have here specifically. And I also said that this is very important since this is the kind of things that at the end of the day makes a difference between, you know, writing just like sentences versus actually articulating sentences into a text. So that was a very important input. I also recommend that you guys had a look at the grammar reference. That was optional, absolutely optional, but highly recommended though. So I hope you guys did it. And as you can see, we've got some steps to cover still. So that's pretty much what we're gonna do. So guys, we are going to be introduced to another word which is very, very important. And every time we talk about politics, for example, and power itself, this word is key. It is key, and it's also even used in Spanish. In Spanish, we do have this word, which is a loan from English. So well, we tend to talk about los lobbies económicos, lobbies, especialmente lobbies económicos, like el lobby de la construcción, for instance. We tend to talk about that. So we are going to explore this term and understand exactly what that means, because as we, if you guys remember, and we were talking about this relation of power and money, one of the things they say here is that this superclass, one of the reasons why the superclass is so powerful has to do with networking and how they are connected with other rich people all around the world, which means that they can have an influence of governments, right? That's one of the keys that we found there. And this term is completely 100% connected to that definition. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna have some time individually. We're gonna fix, let's say, maximum 5 minutes. I think, yeah, from 3 to 5 minutes for you guys to read the description. Okay, you guys are going to read this, and then we're gonna cover this, basically these definitions and say, well, who a Lovis is. So we have these two definitions here, right? And you guys are going to read this and you're going to choose the one that you consider fits the description the best. So the definitions we have: a lobbyist is a member of a government who represents a particular area of interest, or a person whose job involves trying to influence politicians or the government on a particular issue or changing the law. So there are two completely different definitions. What you guys are going to do then is to read this, and based on this extract, choose the best definition. We're gonna do that individually, and you guys have around, let's say, 3 minutes. Okay, guys, so please do it right now. Okay, guys. So I assume that you guys have read this brief text, and you guys are 100% about the answer, right? So which of these two definitions would match that description we've got here, guys? Any guess? Any idea?
The second one, that a person whose job involves trying to influence politician or the government on a particular issue or change in the law.
Absolutely. Yes, the right answer would be the number two, right? So that's what a lobbyist is. So a lobbyist is not a person from the government. It is a person that perhaps, I mean, he or she would be part of any sort of let's say sector or a sphere of power, right? Perhaps it could be a person from any sort of business cluster, you know, and they would have that sort of influence. That is one of the reasons why, guys, because of lobbies. Um, that's one of the reasons why sometimes we've got these laws that make no sense, right? And we say that, but why does it happen if most of the people are against or are in favor or something, but the laws do not reflect that? There you go. That's a product of lobbyist. Just to give you an example, one very powerful lobby that we have in Colombia is the lobby of sodas, you see, represented by Postobon especially. So I don't know if you guys know, but there was a project that wanted to put some stamps, put yeah, like some stamps on food, on trash food basically, just to inform people that those kinds of food have very high contents of have a very high content of sugar or salt. You know, that's something that actually exists in Mexico already. I don't know if you guys have watched that by any chance.
Yes,
Um,
teacher.
um,
Yes, sure. And also, I'm not sure about that or what happened with that, but also it was a project that, um, for example, you know that in the cereal or some products, there are the image of an animal in some products.
mhm,
Well, it's for kids,
yeah.
and also the idea it will be remove that image of the animal
Mhm.
and that product that I will be for kids. So it was the idea. I don't know
Uh,
what happened.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes,
I'm
teacher.
just Googling some images. You see, those are the stamps that I'm talking about. So food like this would say something like that: exceso clarillos, exceso azúcares, exceso grasas trans, and so on. You see, for instance, on the cookies. So that was pretty much the project here to have this. But of course, that means that that these industries could be impacted by that because I mean we assume that they would sell less. I don't know if that would be the case because you know that happens also with cigarettes. They include this horrendous images in this in the cigarettes packs, but people still buy them. So it's like okay, right? But that was the project. But one of the reasons why that hasn't happened, and I'd say the key reason why this hasn't happened here in Colombia is precisely the lobbies, right? So those lobbies make a lot of pressure on the system, so they can block certain laws, and that's a very good example. Okay, so that is what a lobbyist is. A lobbyist is this person whose job involves trying to influence politicians or the government on a particular issue or change in the law. Okay, so guys, what we're gonna do now, and we're gonna do it individually again. We're going to read the description again and choose the correct options to complete it. As you can see, in most of the clauses, we've got two options. So for example, they say here, a lobbyist is an activist who works to persuade, or who or is an activist who works to persuade. You see, it's just like we have these two option. Okay, so with who or without who, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna give you, again, a couple of minutes so you guys can complete this, and then we're gonna check it together. Check it, not shake it, but check it together. Okay, guys, so let's do that. 2 to 3 minutes to come to do this matching over here. So in the case of the first one, guys, what would be the right option here? Let me just use this tool. Okay, so it would be with who or without anything, guys?
Put who.
Absolutely, yes, right?
With who?
There we go. So a lobbyist is an activist who works to persuade members of a government to pass legislation, and then
Which is beneficial.
in this case, both are okay. Okay, this is one of those cases in which we can use both. So we could have said members of a government to pass legislation beneficial to the group, or which is beneficial to the group. Okay, both of them are absolutely okay to the group. They or they, guys, what would be the right one to get there?
They.
So it would be members of it to pass legislation which is beneficial to the group they represent. That is right. But we can also use that they. So this is one of those cases as well. So in this case, we can also use both. Okay. We can make it very economical and say to pass legislation beneficial to the group they represent. Absolutely okay. Or we can take it a little bit longer to pass legislation which is beneficial to the group that they represent. And both of them are absolutely okay. So they represent and who or for whom they work. In this
For
case,
whom?
in that case, we only can use for whom, okay? Because the meaning in this case is completely different. If we say the group they represent and who they work, that makes no sense, right? Okay, lobbyists often represent powerful industries like oil companies and pharmaceutical corporations, which or what is why, which is the right one there, guys? Which or what?
Which.
It's which. Remember that in some cases, sometimes it feels like which and what are very similar, but they are quite different. And when we use it as a connector, like in this context, it's absolutely different. And we started before that which can be used for, oh, hello, dude, that we can use, my cat is attacking me for some reason. Oh, stop. So what I was saying, so which it's used to introduce big chunks of text, right? So so there you go. In this case, clearly we've got to use which is why some people are concerned about their influence. However, there are also lobbyists who are working to represent. What would you say, guys? They are number 6.
Working.
Yeah,
Both?
but both, yeah, who are working. So in this case, we can use both. Absolutely. So there are also lobbyists who are working to represent the interests of universities, schools, and environmental groups. There you go. The term lobbyist comes from President Grant. And then that or who, guys, number 7.
Who?
Yes, we could have, I mean, we could somehow use that, but it's not the best option since for people, we always use who. I mean, we could have said that like President Grant that was president of US. It's not very accurate. You say it's like, I don't like it. In this case, whenever we're talking about people, it's always better to use who was president of the USA from 1869 to 1877. Grant spent a lot of time in the lobby of a Washington hotel. Somewhere, number 8.
Nothing.
So if we say somewhere, people would often approach him to discuss individual causes, or somewhere that people would often approach, let me say somewhere that people, well, we could use both. You see, we could use both actually, but it sounds better if we don't use it. So it's, I mean, both options are grammatically correct, but without sounds a little bit better. And I didn't know this. I mean, I know about the use of this term, but I didn't know this last part, how this term was somehow coined. This is new to me. So there we are, guys. That's exactly what we got. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about this, perhaps? No, no, no.
No, teacher.
Okay, nice.
No,
Okay, guys. So in this final part of this lesson, we are going to focus a little bit more on vocabulary and speaking specifically. So basically, we are going to explore the use of this WH question words in the context of connections, like the connections we do inside sentences, if that's okay with you. Let me see. So guys, what I'd like you to do this time, we're gonna do this in groups, in teams. So first, we're gonna complete the sentences using when, where, which, whom, or why. And we've got 10 sentences there, right? And then we're gonna cover this last part, which is discussing 3 of the sentences and basically go say if you agree or disagree. That's essentially it. So when we come back, we're gonna cover and correct all of the sentences. And I would like to listen to your opinions as well on this, okay? We are going to take a little bit less than 10 minutes to do this in Teams. And then we'll be back here so we get instructions on this task, the task number 5. Okay, guys, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm going to open the breakout rooms in this moment so you guys can have that discussion. So let's go, guys. I'll see you here back in 10 minutes. Let's go. Let's see what we've got here. So let me share my screen so we see exactly what we are doing. So we got this 10 different sentences, right? And we were expected just to complete them. That's essentially what we needed to do. So let's see. Okay. So this time we're gonna change things a little bit. So what I'd like to do is just to choose people randomly because it makes me feel so good, you know, when you know that you could be the next person to be called, but you don't know if they are going to call you. That's this permanent feeling of pressure is something that some people may enjoy. So, I mean, at least myself, I do. So let's start then. We're gonna start with a sentence number 1, and I would like perhaps Tatiana Alvarez, I would like you to help me with the number 1, if you will. So number 1, Tatiana, what do you have there? Yes, Tatiana? Hello, Tatiana, are you there? Can you hear me? Do you happen to be here? You know what would be really cruel and fun? What if I, I call you to answer these kinds of questions, and those of you who don't answer, I just simply kick them out of the room. Can you imagine that? That would be really cool to do. It's like, because if you turn on your computer and you join the lesson and everything, and then you do something else, and then you find out that you were kicked out of the room, that would be cool. But of course, that would be slightly, let's call it, not very nice. Right?
The last semester was a teacher like that.
You
He started
seriously?
calling and was like, okay, are you there? Are
No.
you there? Are you there? And then they kick out of the session, and all people were in the group like, teacher, why you kick me out of the session?
Yeah. Although we could, there is another thing that that I could do perhaps, and it's like we've got this waiting room, so it's like some sort of I don't know how to say that. Let me just double check that word, because I don't know how to say that in English. Because I don't know if it's called exactly the same. Oh, it's called actually the same. There you go. Let me see, let me see. Oh, yeah, it's called like that. Just call it like that. Limbo, the limbo, like as in the this concept of Catholicism. Actually, it's not. I don't know if it happens across all the. Let me just double check. Oh, all the Christian denominations. But there is this concept of this place where people, yes, it's called just like that, limbo. Yes, which is a place after life in which you are not either in hell nor in heaven, but just in an intermediate place. So it's like you wouldn't be out of the room, but you wouldn't be in the room, and that would be even funnier. Yes, David?
Teacher, can I say the answer?
Absolutely, please. Please.
I don't like the way in which advertisers target small children.
Absolutely, yes, that is the right answer. I don't like the way in which advertisers target small children. And you know what? Actually, this is one of the most standard ways of connecting clauses. If you want to keep it simpler, in most of the cases, that would be the go. In which, you see, in most of the cases, we can do it just like that. So so thank you, David. You just fix the situation here. So let's see. Then people used to get their electricity and gas from different companies instead of. So this time I'd like perhaps Camila Navarro. I would like you to help us with this one, with the number 2. So Camila. Hello? Camila, are you there? I think I'm really doing this, I think it's time for me to do this. I think I was not in the mood to do that, but I think you guys just motivated me to do it. I think we gotta do something about it. And it's fun, actually. So, okay, we've got 2 people in limbo now. So let's continue then with Erika Corredor. Would you please help us with the number 2?
What? I don't sure.
Just give it a try. You said what in that one? But that was not an option, actually. Erika? Can you hear me, Erika?
Yes, I said what, but probably I use which. I don't sure.
But what was not even an option?
Teacher,
Yeah.
may I?
Please,
Because
Diego.
my group also was pretty confused because we didn't put something in that because we think that was better without something.
Okay, we say people used to gather electricity and gas from different companies instead of many people today just use. Okay, give me a second, because if we just don't put anything instead of many people, no. I think we really need to put something. So look, people used to gather electricity and gas from different companies. Very simple. Instead of, we are missing
one of our options is where instead of
where many people today just
use one supplier.
Okay, so in this case, as we are using instead, we know that we need something. We need a word that refers to something else that we are
thinking
comparing.
about like something like that, but that is not in the options. So,
but that's close. That would be close, because the thing is that, look, people use their electricity and gas from different companies, right? So people would get electricity and gas from different companies, just the way we have it here in Colombia. So we have, Enel, and we have gas company. Yes, Felipe? Yep.
I think that is which, because, well, sometimes we can replace which.
Well,
Okay, that's the which.
yes, that's the right answer. And actually, which is used in lots of cases, to be honest, in most of them. But apart from that, my point here is that we are comparing two situations or things, right? So in this case, the other options make no sense. We are comparing first the fact that that previously people would get this electricity and gas from different companies, and now just one supplier. So we are comparing two situations. And out of these options, the best option to refer to a situation would be which, because when refers to time, where, places, whom, people, and why reasons, you see? So situations, concepts, things, which would be the best option, okay? There you go. Oh, Electrocaribe. You know what they say about Electrocaribe? Wow. Like one of the worst companies ever. There you go. I mean, we don't have that term, although I don't know if you knew, but in the past months, there was a tax that was charged to people pretty much in the whole country. So we would pay for the stupidity of Electricaribe. So that's very interesting to say. Anyways, number 3, guys, number 3, the reason. That was super easy. And I'd like to help us with this extremely easy option. I would like Michael Cortez, would you please help us with number 3? Remember, we are sending people to limbo, straight to limbo. We are just experimenting with this new feature of this course, okay? Michael, this is a strike 2. Would you please help us with the number 3, if you will? Your microphone's open, but I can hear you. Michael, please. So you know what that means, Michael. You're about to be sent to this very terrifying place. Michael, although if your microphone is actually not working, that's slightly different, but I need to see if it's the case. Michael, are you there? I'm sorry about that. Okay, guys, so let me see. Let's try with Tatiana Spitia. Would you please help us with the number 3?
The reason why?
There you go. There you go. So we could be talking almost about what they call collocations, you know? So the reason would we always go with why? Because clearly why it talks about that, right? So that's why I said that it was somehow easier. So yeah, the reason why many people become civil servants is for the pay and conditions. Number 4, I hate people who just complain about things, either say nothing or stand up for what you believe. Number 4, guys, who knows that one? Let me see. And I'd like this time to help us. Let me see. Clara, I would like you to help us with the number 4, if you will. Number 4, as I've got a sip of coffee. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
In where?
Number 4.
Number 4. No. Sí, no tiene sentido.
So you get no idea what we're talking about then.
Can I, teacher?
Who?
And that is wrong. Okay, Nicholas, please help us. Yeah, you can help us with
I'm
that.
not pretty sure about the thing that I put, but I put in which case you should do something about it.
Yep. And actually, thank you very much, Nicholas. That is absolutely right. And this is pretty much the same case we had in the number 2. You see, as we are making connections or referring to two things or comparing two things, like in that case, we use which. Also, which could be the equivalent of the reason why, and in which case, you see? I mean, no other option makes sense here. So if you say in when case, in where case, in whom case, or in why case, no, I mean, the only one that makes sense is which. So it was almost like a try and error thing, if you will. Thank you, Nicholas. Number 5, I like to go, let's see, with, let me see. Someone I haven't heard in a time. Dylan, please, would you please help us with the number 5? Dylan Pies, I mean. Dylan, this is a strike 2. Are you there? Dylan, you know where you're going. I mean, perhaps you don't because you're not there, but anyway, so let's continue with somebody else, perhaps Maria Alejandra. I'd like to listen to you again.
Okay. I clearly remember the day when I first went to vote.
Absolutely. So these are not that hard since, you know, the content and I mean, the context, I'm sorry, makes it super obvious. Number 6, I use social media to keep in touch with my friends and from school. Several of number 6. And I like number 6, perhaps Johannet, would you please help us with the number 6?
Sure. Number 6. Whom?
Whom? Absolutely, yes. And once again, as you can see, as we progress on the exercise, it's not that hard because you just see the context, and if they are talking about people, situations, times, well, you just choose the right option, and it's not a big deal. Thank you very much, Johannet. We're gonna continue with number 7. I'm not happy about the extent to number 7, and that's gonna be Diana Valoges, the person to help us with that number, with the number 7. Diana, are you there? Diana Valoges, are you there? Diana.
Teacher, sorry, I have a question before that Diana appears. I have a question about what is the, so I'm not sure if whom is for plural. So in this case, is several people. So in this case, is whom for that reason, or whom is for singular? Sorry, who is for singular and whom for plural, or I am totally wrong?
That is a very good question, Lina, to be honest. And you know what? I want to highlight something. You pretty much always make really good questions, and that's something I really like. No, it doesn't have to do with number. We use whom for both singulars and plurals. The thing is that who and whom are completely different words, basically. Okay, I mean, they are strongly related since both of them refer to people, but their uses on their context is absolutely different. So in the case of who, we will, to make it very simple, we know we use who when we want to make questions, right? So whenever we want to make questions, who is the one to go? And whom, I mean, we don't use it in that kind of context. Give me a second, please. So at the same time, we must say that they are different parts of a speech, you see? So in the case of whom, it refers to the direction the action is taken, you see? So basically, we could, just to make it simpler, we can say that we use who to refer to the subject of a sentence, you see? So for example, when let's forget about questions, okay? We are talking about just normal affirmative sentences. So in normal affirmative sentences, we use who to refer to the subject, which means the person who makes the action or the person we are talking about. So we say, for instance, that is the person who is waiting for you, you see, because it's the subject. Or the woman who was here before, you see, we are referring to a subject. But when we talk about whom, we are using to refer to an object of a verb or preposition, you see? So it's whom. It's never the subject. It refers always to an object or to a complement of another sentence. So for example, in this case, I use social media to keep in touch with my friends from school, several of whom, you see, because basically this whom refers to my friends, and my friends are the object of this verb, you see? So I is the subject, use social media to keep in touch with my friends, to keep in touch with my friends. My friends are a complement there. And the fact that it's a complement makes them basically an object of the sentence. And then in this second clause that starts here in several, we are going to talk about no the subject, but the object, which is the friends, you see? That's essentially the difference in this case, that we use who to refer to the subject, but we use whom to refer to the object. If you want to make a translation, it makes even more sense, and it's easier to understand, because if let's try to translate this into Spanish. Entonces sería como yo uso redes sociales para mantenerme en contacto con mis amigos, de los cuales o muchos de los cuales, mejor, o varios de los cuales están trabajando fuera del país. Los cuales, un poco sería la traducción en español, no diría, o quienes están trabajando en el extranjero, ¿sabes? So it's not necessarily singular or plural, because it could be used for both, but the difference is who, subject, whom, object, okay? It would be just like that. So if in this sentence, we want to refer to rather the object, the subject, not the subject, the object, we couldn't use who, you see? I'll give you another example in which we are not referring to object, but subject. The examples I gave you before. So he is waiting in the room. That is the man who I talk to you about. You see, so it's like we are referring to a subject, to a subject instead of an object. So if we see more examples here, no, I think this is the only one. Oh, I gave you a big spoiler. But yes, that's essentially how it works. So I don't know if it's a little bit more clear, Lena.
Yes, teacher, a lot. Thank you so much. Now it's better for me.
Yeah, who, always subject, whom, always object. Just keep it like that. Okay. Okay, guys. So so I think we were going to we continue to the number 7, and we were waiting for Diana. So Diana Valojos, are you there already? Number 7.
Yes, I'm here.
Number 7.
I don't know if I don't know si está bien. I don't know if it's,
I don't know if it's
it is.
okay, but doesn't matter. Let's give it a try.
When?
I'm not happy about the extent to when, huh? I don't know, because we're not talking about time, right? So who wants to give it a try then? So no, Diana, that's not correct. So who's gonna help us with that one? Raise your hands and help us. Come on, anybody. This is the chance for those of you who I haven't called. Diana? Yeah.
Which?
Yeah. In that case, it would be which. I'm not happy about the extent to which some public figures use their position for their own personal advantage. Okay, so that would be the right option there. Thank you, Diana. We're gonna continue with the number 8, and that's going to be Felipe. Felipe, would you please help us with the number 8?
Yes, sir. It's got to the point where I don't bother watching the news on TV.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So bias? What is that, teacher?
Excuse me? Oh, bias.
What
Yeah,
is
I
the
will
meaning of the
tell you in a
last,
moment.
right?
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
go her first. So here we are not talking about an actual physical place, right? We are talking about a figurative place, which is also good. I mean, we can also use where. You see, so this person is talking about the fact that that he or she has got to that point where he or she doesn't care about watching the news. You see, so it's not an actual physical point. It's what we might call a figurative point, physical point, but still works. Regarding Felipe's question, biased, well, the TV news in Colombia are very biased. So something biased is something which is influenced by somebody else, which means, or by a group of people or political party or whatever. So it presents information in a like particular way, you see. So for instance, and we know that here in Colombia, well, all the TV channels in most of the cases, but the one which is more obviously based is RCN, right? Why? Because the owners of that channel are is basically part of a super class here in Colombia. So they show you the information in a very particular way. So bias means that something is influenced by anything or by anyone. So information it's presented from a very particular point of view. You see, let me remember how to say that in Spanish as well. Parcializado. No, it's different from amarillista. It's different. That would be, yeah, it sounds like manipulated. It could be like influenced, manipulated. Yeah, in Spanish, we would say parcializado. So, como que, lo contrario de parcializado es imparcial, ¿cierto? Entonces, una información imparcial es como libre de influencia, es súper neutral. But bias would be exactly the opposite. It's something which is not neutral at all, but it's presented from a very specific point of view, which means that information could be manipulated. If you want to see examples of that, just watch RCN, and it's super, I mean, or even better, NTN 24. Wow, that couldn't be more biased. It's the best examples. These are the two best examples we have in Colombia of biased news, that they would always have the same line, and they would always, you know, refer to problems or situations exactly from the same point of view. So this sentence is about that, right? They say that this person says, you know what, it's got to the point where I don't bother watching the TV news, the news on TV. It's so biased. So this person knows that the TV news are so biased that they are always presented from exactly the same perspective. So they don't care about that. There you go. Number 9, guys. And for number 9, I would like Ashley to help us. Ashley, long time no see. Number 9, please.
Some people in country lack confidence in the political system and result whom they don't rather vote. I put whom, but I think because you say something in the number 6, and that has very I am confused.
Yes, I actually threw a big spoiler, and I said like there are no more sentences with whom, but in this case it says some people in my country lack confidence in the political system. So as a result of here, we need a word that refers to something here, right? But are we referring to some people, or are we referring to the country, or are we referring to the fact of lacking confidence? Are we referring to the political system? So that is a question. So we say some people in my country lack confidence in the political system. So some people in my country would be the subject. Then we have an action, which is lack confidence, to lack, and the complement would be the confidence in the political system. And I believe that we are not referring, as the clause starts with as a result of, we are going to talk about a result of something, right? The result of something. So this is the result of this whole situation. We are going to say in the second clause that as a result of the fact that some people in my country lack confidence in the political system, we are referring to that whole thing. And that's something we said yesterday. When we want to refer to a big chunk of text, we want to refer to a whole clause and stuff like that, we pretty much always use which, right? So in this case, it must be which Basically for those two reasons. First, because we want to refer to this whole clause, not just one element, but we want to refer to the whole clause. And second, because at the end of the day, we are talking about a result of something. And as a result, which is the only option we have there, because we said earlier that we use which for things, we use which for concepts, and in this case, this whole clause before could be considered a concept. So that's how it works. There we go, guys. Number 10, last but not least, and I like perhaps Daniela Arias to help us with that one.
Okay. There are about 30 TV channels in my country. Only a few of whom are public broadcaster.
Who? We're talking, there are about 30 TV channels. We are talking about TV channels. So TV channels are not people, right? So perhaps whom would be not the right answer there. Who's got the answer, guys, for this one? Not a big
When,
deal.
sorry. Maybe
No.
when.
No.
No?
Which?
No. There you go, Nicholas. It's which, because we're talking about things, right? So it must be which. Oh, we are talking about things. There you go, guys. So as you can see, it's not a big deal. It's not that hard necessarily. It was nice to send people to the limbo, but the good thing is that they could enter again, so no big deal. They wouldn't feel like so rejected, but that would be perhaps a call for us to be on the spot whenever we are required. So as I said, not a big deal. It's not that hard, but still it requires certain level of analysis. And once again, this is exactly the reason why I said yesterday that these kinds of topics are key for us to understand how to compose our texts better, because as you can see, everything is strongly connected, and that's why I like this exercise, because it's like sentences with two clauses connected, and essentially what we did here was to see how to connect those different relative clauses using different devices, right? That's essentially what we said. By the way, in morphosyntaxis, we use the word device to refer to connectors, and I believe that this is a very fancy way to talk about language. So that's why I like to talk about these words as devices, because it sounds super sophisticated. So guys, we're gonna finish with the very last task of this lesson, which I really like, because this is the ultimate practice on this exercise, and this is what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do, guys, and I hope you guys really take it seriously, because we really need to do this seriously. You guys are going to make groups, okay? Once again, but we need to make a number of equal, we need to make 10 groups, okay? And let me just do it live so I can exactly show you what I mean. So we are going to make, how many people do we have here? 10. There would be, yes, I think that's okay. We are going to make 10 groups, okay? So you guys can choose in which group to work, okay? No big deal. You guys can choose in which group to work. So you choose your room, but we have maximum 10 rooms. Those of you who choose an even number, those of you who choose an even number, you know what even numbers are, right? Even and odd numbers, right?
Par e impar.
There you go, even and odd numbers. So even is par, odd is impar, right? So those of you who choose an even number, like 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, all of you guys would be a student A, okay? All of you. So once again, even numbers would be a student A. Let me just put it on the chat box just in case. Let me just put it over. The even numbers would be student A, which means that those of you who choose odd numbers would be student B. Do not worry about the selection. It's not like a student B or A have to do something super crazy and the others don't have to do anything. No, the level of difficulty is exactly the same. It makes no difference, okay? So once again, even numbers of student B, A, odd numbers of student B. So what you guys are going to do is to prepare that exercise together. It is super simple. So that should take, I don't know, maximum like 5 minutes, okay? We don't require more because as you'll see, it's super easy. So in these groups, you're gonna prepare together. So let's say I am in room number 1, right? So as I am in room number 1, and that's an odd number, that means that our team would be student B. So you guys would go all together to the page 135 and see the instructions and just follow the instructions there. It's a very, very short exercise, okay? So basically what you have to do there is to complete some sentences and think about reasons for you that you would have for justifying that. Okay, well, thinking about that a little bit better, I think I should give you at least 10 minutes so you can have the actual discussion. After those 10 minutes, I'm sorry, we're gonna come back here and I will mingle the groups. So I will mix all the groups. So you guys would be in these new groups, we would have teams from student A and student B, and you would share with each other your ideas and stuff. That is essentially what we are going to do. Apart from that, guys, please make sure you have in hand this exercise, the exercise 4A. The exercise 4A is going to give you all the structures you need for this task, okay? If you don't know how to say something, just have a look at the exercise 4A and you'll see everything you need right there, okay, guys? So step number 1, make the groups as you wish. And if you guys choose an even number group, that means that all the group would be student A. And if you choose an odd number, it means that the whole group is a student B. So in this first stage, you are gonna work together to prepare that part, okay? You don't have to choose a student A and student B in the same group, no. You have to work together to prepare your, let's say, this course. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, teacher.
There you go, guys. So we've got exactly 10 minutes. So we come back here and we do the mingling for the exercise. So let's go, guys. Okay, guys, welcome back. So guys, now that you are back here, the next step is super simple. It makes no huge difference regarding what we expect to do with this exercise. So what we're gonna do now, as I said, super simple. We are going to combine groups. So that means that this time we're gonna have people who are student A and people who are student B. So what you guys are going to do basically is to share what you guys did. So it's like, you know, you would read the sentences you put together and also give your reasons. It is as simple as that. And try to make sure that you guys somehow try to give each other feedback in case you don't understand something or in case you could give the other people some advice on how to do that. It is as simple as that. Okay, guys? So if that's okay with you guys, we are going to devote exactly 10 minutes for this exercise. And after those 10 minutes, we'll be back here and we'll basically dismiss the class as we call the attendance. Okay, guys? So it is as simple as that. In this very moment, I'm going to, I'm going to mix the groups. So give me 1 second as I do that. And remember that the point here is to make sure that we've got people of both groups in the same group, basically. So I'm moving everyone. Okay, guys, here we go. So as I said, we've got 10 minutes for you guys to mingle and exchange your ideas and everything. And then we'll be back here in 10 minutes. Have you got any question about that, guys?
No, sir.
No, I think it's clear, right? Great, guys. So let's go. 10 minutes for this, and that's it.